Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first IntyCenter recorded from Echo Base. We are going to jump into it with some breaking news because it turns out that Let's Play 2 actually can lose a game after all. Now, it didn't happen in their opener against the Gales in November. That's a game where Bert Blyleven and Nolan Ryan combined to allow 2 runs on 5 hits as they each went 8 innings. Now, unfortunately for Blyleven, both hits he allowed were solo homers. One from Ernie Banks, the other from Mike Schmidt. That meant a 2-0 win for Let's Play 2 in the series opener. These two teams in a possible playoff preview were tied at 3 entering the 8th in Game 2. After Roger Bresnahan steals third base, Ron Santo brings him home with a sac fly. And Gales of November are going to hold on for a 4-3 lead to get the win. The rubber match would actually need extra innings. A Justin Morneau homer in the 5th put the Gales up 1-0, and Ernie Banks RBI single in the 6th tied it up. And that was it in our normal 9 innings of work as both Fergie Jenkins and Lefty Grove dazzled. In the bottom of the 10th, it was a walk-off E6. That's right. Cubby's heart gets broke by Mr. Cubby, Ernie Banks. He boots what should have been the 3rd out. George Davis scores, and the Gales of November take that one 2-1. How would the teams chasing the final spot in accurate length of a Star Destroyer do with Let's Play 2 dropping a pair? Well, Performance Enhancers get off to a terrible start to their series, getting just 3 hits off Addy Joss, and when Oral Hershiser got the final out, that was the bottom line on a 6-0 loss. The Enhancers would take a 6-0 lead into the 7th and weather a late storm from the all-seeing Angel Fernandez as a 2-out, 2-run homer from Joe Mauer in the 9th pulls the home team to within 6-5, and singles from Charlie Gehringer and the pinch-hitting Yadier Molina followed. But on that single from Molina, Gehringer tries to go to 3rd. He gets caught in a rundown, eventually tagged out to end the game. Again, Albuquerque's still in a playoff chase, getting the final out of the game in a rundown with a runner trying to go 1st to 3rd on a single. That's a play that might just summarize the entire Albuquerque season, if we're being honest. However, 3rd game of the series, Albuquerque doesn't leave it to chance. It's a Bob Feller 6-hit shutout, and they will take the series 2-1 and keep those faint playoff hopes alive. The Bandwagoners, they get swept by State of Mound, to be honest. Not going to touch on those games because they weren't very competitive. All of that adds up to it looking increasingly likely like New York State of Mound will be the regular season champions of accurate length of a Star Destroyer. They clinch a playoff spot during this set of games. They now hold a 5-game lead over the Gales for that number 1 seed. The Gales look locked into number 2. The Bandwagoners and Let's Play 2, they sit tied in the win column with the Bandwagoners still having a game to make up from a rain delay. The Enhancers sit 2 back. The Angel sit 3 back. Not a lot of time to make that up, but we have seen crazier things happen. So how about the situation over in Sandlot? Well, we'll start with the Shack Barons taking 2 out of 3 from the Demon Bags. A Willie Powell 4-hitter in the opener got them the first win. The Demon Bags took game 2 behind a 3-run homer from Chuck Klein. That's got to spoil a 4-hit game from John McGraw. We go into the rubber match. The Demon Bags lead that one 2-1 until McGraw singles home Fred Dunlap in the 8th to tie it at 2. The 9th inning was then just an appropriate amount of crazy for this rivalry. We start with Ted Williams leading off the inning. He reaches on an error by Troy Tulowitzki. Pete Browning draws a walk. Hardy Richardson then hits into a double play. So we've got Ted Williams on 3rd. We got 2 outs. We issue an intentional walk to Fred Dunlap. On a 2-2 pitch, D-Bags pitcher Cliff Lee starts walking off the mound thinking he struck out George Hall, but that pitch was called a ball. They do it again on 3-2, and on that next pitch, Hall sends Rick Woodfield into an absolute frenzy. He hits a walk-off 3-run homer, and the Shack Barons will take that one 5-2. Now, could Scythie make up any ground on the Shack Barons? Well, no, because they dropped the opener to brand new ball players behind a complete and total masterpiece from Max Scherzer. He goes the distance. He gives up fewer runs than he has eye colors, giving up just 1 run on 8 hits in a 4-1 victory. Scythie get a 2-run homer from Joe Kelly and a 3-run homer from Lajoie in the sixth to take an 8-6 lead in game two. But they give up 2 runs in the bottom of the inning. We're tied up, and we're going to need extra innings. In the 10th, who else could it be but the man they're probably already building a statue for, Lajoie? He hits the go-ahead 2-run homer in extra innings. Bill Foster strikes out A-Rod to end the game. That's a 10-8 win in extra innings for Scythie. In the rubber match, we're saying rubber match a lot this week. That's apparently the word of the week here on IntyCenter. All the runs come in the 7th inning for both teams. Buck Leonard and Lou Whitaker go back-to-back to open up the bottom of the 7th inning. But that's not enough to counter an RBI single from Grasshopper Jim and a 3-run homer from Paul Hines. Scythie takes it 4-2, and they keep pace but don't make up any ground on the Shack Barons. Now, we already know that the ball players lost 2 out of 3. What would the Surfers do in the race for that final playoff spot? Well, despite 2 Rogers Hornsby homers and another homer from Bag and a Half, they would eke out a 5-4 win over Atlanta in the opener. But Billy Pierce would offer up 7 innings of 1-run, 5-hit baseball in game 2. And John Hiller would have 2 innings of scoreless, hitless relief to give Atlanta that game. That means we get yet again another rubber match. Up 6-2 entering the 8th, the Surfers look to be in great shape in that rubber match, but the Animes get a 3-run top of the 8th to get it to 6-5. Lou Brock singled in the 9th, and Bag and a Half drew a walk to open the inning. But Hornsby struck out. Mike Tiernan grounded out, moving both runners up, and now with 2 outs. That left Chipper Jones the last chance for the Animes to play spoiler, but he lines out, and the Surfers do hold on for that 6-5 win. So over in Sandlot, the Shack Barons now have a 2-game lead on Scythie for that regular season crown. Scythie then have a 1-game lead over the Demon Bags for home field in the opening round of the playoffs. And then that final playoff spot, the Surfers have a 1-game lead over the ball players, but they are facing each other in a 4-game set coming up. That's probably going to decide what's going to happen for that final playoff spot. Exciting end of the season here. And that's going to be a wrap for our first IntyCenter from Echo Base. And we will catch you next time for our next whip around. FODEUSS.